We have been staying for a bit more than a week now. We had seen some areas that has been rebuilt, and there are also a lot of work going on in town with repairing roads. But I also feel that everywhere we have been welcomed and received in a really nice manner. So the stay in Kosovo has been very positive for me so far. When we first came here, we came through the gardens and we saw these really beautiful rose bushes. So the gardens and the surroundings of the museums are really beautiful. And then we came into the house and we got to meet the museum director and his very small staff, and they were very welcoming. One big difference from these museums and the county museums in Sweden is that the whole collection is in this house, and that is both has some pros and cons to have it like that. I also think that with the very small staff, it's only 2 or 3 people working here, that they are doing the best with what they got.
Do thot ne kemi sfida të ndryshme si çdo muze tjetër, do thot se si ti qasemi vetë eksponateve dhe si ti trajtojmë ato, si të qasemi ndaj vizitorëve, do thot për prezantimin sa më të mirë të vetë trashëgimisë dhe kulturës tonë. Kemi një rritje të vizitorëve dhe çdo ditë rritet numri i vizitorëve. Gjatë vitit kaluar do thotë kemi pas një numër rreth 3000 vizitorë që kanë qenë.
This year is second year that I'm in Ethnographic Museum of Gjakova. Last year we come just for a study visit here to see how it looked like, and all the participants from the last year camp were really impressed with this old house. So this year organization decided to have a camp here, and our task here was to try to improve the way how objects are displayed. And also we are trying to conserve some of the objects and to put them in a much better shape so the future visitors can see them in a better way.
Every museum in every country and in every town are very important cultural meeting places for people all over the world to meet and share each other's history. And in a lot of the objects that we have in the museum collection sort of embodies people's stories. And that's also why we need to be careful with that and tell each other's history.
Bohusläns Museum is one of Sweden's largest regional museums and works with a very diverse field of different aspects of culture, cultural heritage, exhibitions, marine archaeology. And for us to have been asked to support the camps is just wonderful. It's a unique experience because we have to constantly be listening, engaging and learning from young people. And that's something which the different people from the museum in Sweden who come here have that possibility. It's very, very enriching. So I think it's important to realise it's not just us giving, we're taking a lot too. It's a balance there. Extremely rewarding. And also coming to places where the museums definitely never worked before and being taken care of in such a wonderful way. I really, really think that this is a huge value to our museum. It is. We're extremely grateful.
So I think all of this white stuff that's in this crease might be something that has been accumulated there when cleaning. So maybe this is something that we should try to remove.
But this one has a very special shape.
Yeah.
So, to come together like this with team members from different parts of Europe, Balkan, Sweden, etc., is a very good thing. I think there are more similarities than differences, but it's good to share experiences and discuss solutions of problems. We learn a lot from each other, and sometimes to have a discussion and have someone else's view gives an eye-opener.
So, Galina, try to use this. Try to roll it like here and just roll it. When you have it like this, just try with your fingers to make it like this. And when you're putting water, just like put it just like that, just a little bit, not too much. And you can try other solvents as well.
I feel very lucky. Lucky because I've studied Academy of Fine Arts for monumental painting, and it was my dream to become a restorator. And I stopped that dream like years ago with the idea that I couldn't follow a restoration school. And when I saw the announcement of Culture Heritage Without Border on their website, then I decided to participate.
The students are very excited about the things that we talk about, and they have been really engaged also during the practical sessions. So I think that they are already now more aware of some things that they didn't know before. And I hope that they will have some tools to be able to make the right decisions and do good things for the collections in the museums that they will hopefully end up working on.
The camps are just amazing opportunities for young people to come together and for different lecturers to come together, and all the crafts people and this wealth of knowledge with the dynamic, young, ambitious camp participants. It's just magic. It really is magic. Now I want you to interpret the place with your body, okay? Okay. Think of the place, you know, is it a mountain? Is it a church? You know, is it... Think of the place, yeah? Is it the sea?
Yeah.
Okay, you think of it, right? And I don't know your names. I've never met you before. So, what I want you to do your movement, say your name, and then the next person does your movement, says your name, and then adds it on. Okay? Do you understand? Okay.
Stina ishte kështu, ha? Kinti të në matë. Ajona ishe buqet me lullë. Bora ishte këtuja që me dashurirat nga zjarre. Ylli? Ha? Korabi ylli? Edhe ti ishe kështu. Ti ishe kështu, ha? Po. Ja kështu ose kështu? Ti? Ty na tak som.
The participants in the camp are from different places of Albania and different places of Kosovo. And because of our geographical position, we did notice with the other participants a lot of similarities between our cultures and in the same time differences. This helped us to gather knowledge about our culture and also gather information on the cultural heritage by the lectures that were held.
Finding and revealing stories. Important to think, who decides history? Which bodies, which people, which minorities are represented, which are not represented? Diversity and equality. Creating a sense of place. We've talked about moods, we've talked about mesmerizing, memorizing. We've talked about different materials. You need to help people to understand the scene around them. There's so many different aspects, partly the coming together, that young people coming together to be able to learn, laugh, and share experiences in this way. Uncovering the stories. Now this is your detectives. You're detectives, you're uncovering the stories. Engaging the senses. Encourage feelings and discussions. It's good to talk about things. We don't always see things the same way, but it's good to talk about it. It's good to reason why. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you want it this way? Talk about it, encourage it, it's good.
Më pëlqen shumë organizimi i këtij kampi, pasi që është edhe për mua hera parë që jam në këtë kamp dhe kisha pas dëshirë që të vazhdoj edhe në kampe tjera të jem prezent, sepse është një eksperiencë shumë e mirë, sidomos te pjesa e komunitetit, sepse ka kultura të ndryshme dhe unë si etnologe më pëlqen shumë të bëj shkëmbimin e këtyre kulturave.
Every year during the camps we have lectures about different issues in conservation, and during that first 5 days I had 4 presentations, 4 lectures, and there were introduction to the conservation. After that I talked about common conservation issues with museum objects, and on very last day I had my favorite lectures, and that was about textile conservation.
But this part here was fading completely. And this is kind of shoulder, looking at it was this shoulder here, and it was not exposed directly to the light.
My lectures has been about health and safety, preventive conservation and metal conservation. And the practicals has been on wood objects and metal objects. And the students are really taking advice and follow instructions.
During my lectures and practicals, me and the students have talked about the importance of documenting, and for that we made some practical reports about the conservation work. We have also had a lecture about pests and insects in museums, how to identify them and what kind of damage different insects do. And then we had the practicals to try to find insects in the museum and try to identify these. And we put out traps and made other arrangements to control the environment for insects.
Kujdesh edhe një aty. Është brenda tek këto këtu.
But so it should be not like that, I'm sorry. No, because you need to have the sticky side of the trap. So the insects, we will stick here.
Yeah. In this way. Oh, okay.
Like that.
In this way, yeah, I understood. So I can put in this way, right in the corner where you told me.
Yes, here.
Am I okay?
Yes, very good.
Një nga gjërat më të mira që ka sjell kampi I konservimit në Gjakov është edhe puna në grup. Puna në grup të rrit aftësinë profesionale tonë, pasi bashkëpunimi në grup çon në përshpejtimin e të gjitha proceseve të punës, gjithsesi edhe për të krijuar miqësi sa më shumë. Unë jam shumë I sigurt që edhe pas përfundimit të kampit të konservimit, besoj se do t'i ruaj të gjitha lidhjet që kemi krijuar në këtë kamp.
One of our challenges which we are organizing for participants is packing challenge, which is actually a challenge for them to pack raw egg in materials which we give them into the cardboard box. And I have certain amount of material and time to do it, and we are trying to destroy eggs. So it's a good practice for the participant to see how to pack objects in a proper way.
Fia, ku përfundoj fia? Vone, a din me buk kështu? Qashtë? Që të vato?
Edhe kjo?
Jo, e tonë fund. Bravo.
Ragazzi, Riccardo, dai, Putin, gauta jemi. Ta provojmë.
Ja I bëm pemë, që t'ja?
No, they. You want the gas? No, because that is. Outside.
Just wait for a second, Stop. E, po, ka shumë? Sa ka që në do tjetë, në ke po me ile. Po. It's too much.
Why is she born? Man, nuk është të jo.
I jealous not.
We have 3 maybe.
This year we decided that we will work on different materials in different parts of the museum. So my task was to try to improve how objects look like in the 2 exhibition cases. So we started with taking the objects out of the showcase, and also they work on different kind of stages in conservation of textiles. So they vacuum clean all the objects. Also, one part of the participants did some conservation stitching, and they put back together some of the parts which were kind of destroyed and which were not connected to the object. And also on one object we made conservation stitching, and we tried to improve appearance of that object.
It will be a long time until this one. But for this sometimes I need lots of hours. I might clip here. No. Does it look nicer now? Yeah. Kind of, it's not.
When we finished with everything, we put objects back to the showcase, and now they are in much better state, and they look much nicer and much more appealing for the public. Every year during the camps we are trying to organize a one-day study trip where participants have a chance to go and to visit another city in Kosovo, to try to see different types of the museums and to see culture in the country, in the different cities, because every city has its own life and culture. This year we went to Prizren and we saw Archaeological Museum of Prizren. We also saw Ethnographic Museum and Art Gallery. Cultural Heritage Without Borders is helping to all of us from this region to try to establish connections and bridges between us. And something which is really important to say that we actually share our culture and we have so many similar things. Me personally, as a conservator from the region, I have maybe better chance to be closer to the people from the region, to show them that we can have to change something and that we have to protect our cultural heritage if we want to have it for the future.
In the Balkans, where there has been so much conflict and the problems of restoring the cultural heritage, I think the work that's been done is absolutely fascinating. It really is. And it's so worthwhile for the communities, for sustainability, for the future, that these different places, many of them small places which maybe nobody's heard of. I'm thinking the camps in Drogljevo in Serbia, for example, and other places where the camps have been, I think have meant a lot for the community.
The reason I came in this camp is that I really do appreciate cultural heritage because of shaping a country's identity. It's interesting how people during the years create bonds with those objects, and then that's why those objects become important. If each country did appreciate their cultural heritage and tradition, that'd be great, because if every country did that, then we would have something original to see about each country, and we will appreciate their story because we have a very good story as well.
Cultural heritage is all about people. Cultural heritage without borders, their vision is to build and restore relations. And it's about conveying, communicating and interpreting these different stories. Another aspect which is extremely important, I feel, is to see how many stories have not been told and how we need to see that we show a more diverse and a more inclusive cultural heritage, so that with the past we move forward into the future with a richer and more dynamic cultural heritage.